Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Patrice Miller? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the incident, then offer my analysis. Patrice Miller was born in 1952 and lived in Downeyville, California. This town of about 100 people is in the Sierra Nevada. It is 2 hours northeast of Sacramento, along the Yuba River. Patrice lived alone in a rental house across from the county courthouse. Her house appeared to be in poor condition. In the early 2000s, Patrice had multiple organ failure and was not expected to survive. She used a walking stick and was considered frail. Her time was occupied by caring for 2 cats and her houseplants. Patrice pretty much kept to herself. In the Sierra Nevada, there are a large quantity of black bears. Unfortunately, Patrice engaged in various behaviors which attracted bears to her house. For example, there was garbage around the outside of the house and maybe inside as well. She had a garden and a compost pile, fed her cats on the porch, and some of her windows were broken. Bears could smell food inside her house. On a regular basis, bears attempted to enter through the broken windows of the residence. On one occasion, Patrice physically struck a bear to prevent its entry. In 2023, one particular male bear became surprisingly problematic. Patrice named this bear Big Blank. The blank rhymes with the word mastered. This bear showed up almost every day and stalked Patrice's house. He regularly tried to break in. Patrice was afraid for her safety and talked about the bear regularly. She told people that she was scared. She even installed steel bars on her windows. In September 2023, after bearing months of harassment, Patrice contacted the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. She was offered a permit to kill the bear, but wasn't interested. Patrice did not want to commit bear homicide. She just wanted the bear to move along. Unwisely, the department decided not to take any action at all. In late October 2023, Patrice heard her cat hissing at an open bedroom window. After investigating, she saw the massive paw of a bear reaching inside the house. Engaging the bear with pepper spray and an air horn managed to persuade a retreat. Unfortunately, the bear was not permanently deterred. Now moving to the timeline of the incident. On November 8, 2023, a friend of Patrice's named Cassie, who delivered groceries to Patrice, became concerned when Patrice had not checked in with her for several days. She contacted the Sierra County Sheriff's Office and requested a welfare check for Patrice. When a deputy arrived at Patrice Miller's house, he noticed there was a garden hose on the front porch which had been punctured multiple times. It was spraying water everywhere. He knocked on the door, but there was no answer. The deputy turned off the water and used a flashlight to look through a small window of the house. Inside, he could see paw prints in blood on the living room floor. Alarmed, the deputy drew his weapon and made entry. He found Patrice Miller dead on the kitchen floor. She was covered in lacerations, puncture wounds, and claw and bite marks. It was clear that a bear had fed on her remains over the course of several days. The house was ransacked, the floor was covered in garbage, and the cabinets had been ripped apart. The point of entry for the bear was a kitchen window. The steel bars which Patrice had installed had been ripped off and were hanging by a single bolt. In the living room, the bear had made a deposit, so to speak. Initially, the authorities believed that Patrice must have died from natural causes in the house. After all, she was in poor health and had been that way for about 20 years. The smell of her decaying corpse attracted the bear, who broke into the house and consumed her remains. They didn't think the bear was a killer, rather just an opportunist. After the autopsy, it was clear that the initial assessment was incorrect. Patrice had been killed by the bear mauling her and biting her neck. The bear had actually pulled her out of bed and dragged her through the house. In the days following the killing, The bear broke into the house a few more times. The police had to screw a sheet of plywood over the door to stop the determined creature. Eventually, the authorities trapped the bear and shot it with a large caliber pistol. In May 2024, DNA test results indicated that the correct bear had been killed. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. The killing of Patrice Miller represented the first known fatal attack by a black bear in the history of the state of California. The black bear population has increased dramatically over the years. In 1982, there were between 10 and 15,000 black bears in the state. In 2024, that number rose to as many as 65,000 black bears. 40% of those bears live in the Sierra Nevada. Encounters between bears and residents have become increasingly common. This brings me to item number 2. Black bears are not nearly as dangerous as grizzly bears, but all bears are unpredictable and have the potential for violence. One can never know for sure if any particular bear will attack. An adult female black bear can weigh between 100 and 300 pounds. An adult male can weigh between 150 and 500 pounds. Black bears are exceptionally powerful, about 5 times as strong as the average human. They can lift over 300 pounds with one front leg, run 35 miles per hour, and are very good at climbing trees. In the United States, black bears cause just under 1 fatality a year on average. The growing bear population and improper food and trash storage by people have increased the number of conflicts between bears and humans. The natural fear of people that bears have can erode, resulting in daring behavior. There are about 1,700 bear conflicts each year in California. Over 200 of these are home invasions. 55% of the damage caused by black bears is perpetrated by a small number of repeat offenders. As far as self-defense when being attacked by a bear, experts recommend to fight back instead of running away or playing dead. In the event of survival, it's important to contact emergency services and report the offending bear. Item number 3. In Downeyville, California, where the fatal bear attack on Patrice Miller occurred, the residents have had encounters with other bears. For example, 3 days after Patrice's body was discovered, a bear was captured on camera in a garden. 6 months after the attack, in May 2024, a bear broke into 3 houses. One elderly man reported waking up from a nap on his couch to find the bear in his living room staring at him. Later, the police received a report that the bear was trying to break into a middle school gym while children were present. By the time the police arrived, the bear was no longer at the school. It was breaking into a nearby house. The police chased the offending bear down and shot it with a rifle. All the black bears in the area should bear in mind that if they break into occupied structures, they will have to bear the cost. Item number 4. The people in Downeyville used to feel safe from bears, but now some residents are afraid to go out at night. Furthermore, there are wider concerns about what this fatal attack means as far as the future of black bear interactions. Perhaps there has been a fundamental shift in bear behavior. People are afraid that the death of Patrice is indicative of a new era of home invader bears. These virtually unstoppable 400-pound killing machines will start ripping through houses and committing homicide at will. People will bear witness to the bear-apocalypse. The black bears have joined paws and conspired to start a revolution. While it's understandable that people would be afraid given the fatal attack, a bear uprising is pretty unlikely. This was probably an isolated incident involving an unfortunate combination of circumstances. This brings me to item number 5. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Patrice Miller did not really understand the behavior of black bears. She created an environment which attracted bears. She didn't store her garbage properly, fed her cats on the front porch, and made other mistakes which sent the wrong message to the bears. One particular bear became highly interested in her house and was desperate to get in. Over the course of months, the bear repeatedly attempted to force entry and was clearly dangerous. This was an unusually violent bear and one that had an incredible level of determination. The bear needed to be relocated or killed, but neither Patrice nor the authorities understood the seriousness of the situation. They underestimated the power of a violent bear offender. Despite not wanting to use lethal force, Patrice was afraid of the bear and did take certain precautions, like installing bars on her windows. For some reason, these steel bars were insufficient to stop the bear. It's not clear if the window bars were installed incorrectly or if the bear was carrying a crowbar or an angle grinder. There's no way to know. Somehow the bear managed to get through the bars, break through the window, and climb into the kitchen. Patrice was in her bedroom when this occurred, but did not hear the break-in or chose not to respond. Instead of simply taking food from the kitchen, the bear went into Patrice's bedroom and dragged her across the house. It killed her before ransacking the inside of the structure. After the killing, the bear was completely fearless and returned to the house multiple times. This was his undoing. He was forced to bear responsibility. Now moving to my final thoughts. This was a story of two unusual characters, a woman who attracted bears and a bear who was homicidal. The community may be alarmed and worried about hand-to-paw combat with aggressive bears, but the reality of the situation is much less dramatic. Bears are wild animals. They cannot be reasoned with, but they do respond to operant conditioning. Reinforcement and punishment will motivate them. When anything near people becomes a food source for bears, there will be problems due to positive reinforcement. If people recklessly invite bear encounters, both the people and the bears will bear the scars. Those are my thoughts in the case of Patrice Miller. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They consistently generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.